This is the circle of life, a perfect circle. It never stops rolling. It never has, and it never will. It doesn't care whether you're happy or heartbroken, healthy or sick, successful or struggling. Life keeps rolling. Now look at the circles inside. They represent your marriage, your relationships, your children, your career, your health, and every responsibility you carry. For life to move smoothly, these circles need to work together. But most of us spend our lives jumping from one circle to another, trying to fix our spouse, our children, our friends, our coworkers, while life quietly rolls on without us. And yet, there's one circle that determines how every other circle in your life moves, the one at the center, the one most of us rarely enter, the only circle you can truly change, yours. You only get one life. Don't spend it chasing circles that were never yours to fix. Step into your own circle, reflect, find your weaknesses, strengthen it, take responsibility for it, and roll with life, making the most of the one and only chance you'll ever have in this world. Now, I'll let Mehdi take it from here.
Today's question comes from Mark. Mark asks, "My teenage son refuses to study. How do I motivate him?" This is one of the most common questions parents ask. When your child refuses to study, it's natural to worry. You think, what if he fails? What if he never goes to college? What if he wastes his potential? What if I fail as a parent? Those thoughts are understandable. But before we talk about your son, let's talk about your circle of life. Mark, here's something many parents forget. As adults, it's easy to forget what it felt like to be a teenager. Looking back, we see all the mistakes we made, and naturally, we don't want our children to repeat them. So we guide them, warn them, tell them what they should and shouldn't do. But here's the challenge. Your teenager doesn't see life from your point of view, just as you didn't see life from your parents' point of view when you were their age. The world they experience is very different from the one you remember. Mark, your son is an important part of your circle of life, but you are not the center of his, and he is not the center of yours. He has a circle of life of his own, and from the center of that circle, life looks completely different. Around your son's circle are countless other circles competing for his attention. Friends, social acceptance, sports, gaming, music, social media, relationships, his appearance, his identity, and perhaps the biggest one of all, belonging. To a teenager, losing the acceptance of their peers can feel more frightening than failing an exam. Not because they're lazy, because that's the world they're trying to survive in. Imagine standing outside your circle of life while every circle around you is pulling in a different direction. Your phone keeps buzzing. Friends want your attention. Social media reminds you that you're lacking something. Someone at school might be judging what you wear. Someone else might be talking about you. One relationship begins, another ends. Every one of those circles is shouting, "Look at me." Then, after all of that, a parent walks in and says, "Stop wasting your time. Go study." From the parent's perspective, that makes perfect sense. But from the teenager's perspective, you're someone who don't care about their priorities. Parents often believe they're fighting laziness. In reality, they're competing against an entire world that feels more urgent than homework. The mistake many parents make is believing their priorities automatically become their teenagers' priorities. They don't. Parents cannot step into that circle and rearrange it. The harder they try, the more resistance they often create. Because the teenager doesn't hear, "Go study." They hear, "Your priorities don't matter." Mark, the moment you believe it's your job to make your son study, you've stepped out of your circle of life and into his. And outside your circle of life, you have no control. And that's where stress begins. You lecture, you remind, you argue, you negotiate, you punish, you reward. You try every parenting technique you can think of. Yet somehow, the harder you push, the harder he resists. Because motivation cannot be forced. It must grow from within. Now let me ask you something, Mark. Can you make another human being want something? Can you make someone value education? Can you force curiosity? Can you force responsibility? Can you make someone dream? You can't. You can influence them. You can guide them. You can inspire them, but you cannot choose for them. The harder you try to control what isn't yours to control, the more frustrated you'll become. So Mark, if you want your son to stay in his circle of life, you first have to stay in yours. When you do, you no longer carry the impossible responsibility of changing your son. You carry the responsibility of becoming the best father you can be. Inside your circle of life, there's only room for two things: you and the task at hand. And the task at hand cannot be something that's not in your control. So it can't be making your son study. Your task should be becoming someone worth listening to. Suppose your son loves motorcycles. He spends hours watching motorcycle videos. You think he's wasting his time. Instead of criticizing him, sit beside him. Ask him what he enjoys about motorcycles. Ask because you care about him. Accept his world, even when it doesn't make sense to you. If he enjoys gaming, learn about gaming. If he loves movies, watch one with him. If he enjoys bike racing, ask him what he loves about it. People invite into their circle those who first show respect for it. That's how trust begins. Be patient. Ask more questions than you give lectures. Listen more than you speak. Help him discover why learning matters instead of telling him that it does. Most importantly, be the example. Teenagers learn far more from what we consistently do than from what we repeatedly say. If they see you reading, learning, keeping your promises, working with discipline, treating others with respect, and growing every day, those lessons quietly leave an impression. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they do leave an impression. Once respect and trust is built, they'll take your concerns seriously. Remember, you can hand your son a book, but you cannot make him open it. You can create opportunities, but you cannot create desire. Desire must come from within, but your influence grows every time you strengthen your relationship. Protect the relationship before trying to improve the grades. So Mark, don't ask, how do I make my son study? Ask, what's the task at hand for me as his father today? Maybe today the task isn't homework. Maybe it's listening. Maybe it's understanding. Maybe it's earning another ounce of trust. Because one lecture rarely changes a life. But small moments, one conversation, one dinner, one walk, one act of patience, completed one task at a time, just might. Every parent wants to prepare their child for life. But the best way to prepare them is not to live their life for them. It's to help them learn how to live their own. Raise the relationship, not your voice. Because children don't always remember what we told them, but they rarely forget how we made them feel. And one day when your son faces a difficult decision, he won't hear your lectures. He'll remember your example. Till next time, stay in your circle.